to introduce Richard, and the floor is all yours.
So, the first thing I want to do is talk to you about what happened in New York State. Since this is a NAIFA meeting, you might as well know what happened in my state. The state won. We have full commission disclosure. We were all pretty shocked that it passed. Not only were we shocked, we were very disappointed. But it was NAIFA in New York State that got the commission disclosure statement to be so benign that what they did is they took the lifetime of commissions, and that's what we disclose. So it's not really as ugly as we thought it would be. Now, I happen to be in the pension business, so there's full disclosure no matter what. Every client knows every dime that I make on every pension plan, and I don't really care about that. I just think that it's disgusting that the government has to mandate that. And I think they should be mandating it to attorneys, accountants, politicians. You know, I mean, I really think they should be going the other way around now. So we lost, but NAIFA fought like hell, to be honest with you. And the battle that we won is really what the disclosure turned out to be. So that's one thing. I would tell you, support NAIFA because it's important. I've been a member of NAIFA for 25 years. And I give to the PACs because between NAIFA and AALU, that's probably the only reason we're still in business right now, in my opinion. Congress, life insurance, cash value, and death benefit. I don't go to DC, I don't go to Albany with NAIFA, I go with AALU, but NAIFA is standing shoulder to shoulder with AALU fighting for us. You folks should really know that they really want to take away our business. They really want to take away our business. I was sitting with a politician in 2011, and if there are politicians in here, I'm very sorry. But I was sitting with a politician in 2011 in his office where the comment was, quote, "You guys make too much money anyhow. What's the difference?" Now, I don't know about you. I am not going to get my current income for the rest of my life like they did. So, by the way, that's exactly what I said to him. He wasn't real happy with that response. But the fact of life is the fact of life, that they don't even know what we do for people. So if they take away commissions, let's look at this. They take away commissions, then you have the average person has to pay a fee to buy a life insurance contract. So rather than the fee being a commission, they actually have to go into their pocket, make the insurance companies wealthy. And we're getting the short end of the stick. So fight, guys. Really fight. This is really at the forefront right now. I don't know if you know Nat Perlmutter. He was the president of NAIFA in New York. It was a long, hard fight. It's going to be a long, hard fight. It's a great industry. We're underpaid. We're not overpaid. We are really underpaid. Thanks, Mahesh. Okay, so, is that on? It's not on. I know I wear glasses, but. Is that it? Yep. Okay. So somehow or other, I got invited here, and I want to thank everybody to speak about my practice. But I'm looking at a lot of veterans here, guys that I probably learned from because I had some incredible mentors in my life. And this is something that I like talking about, which is just broadening horizons on a constant basis. It's something I believe in. I've done a lot of talk at Guardian. You all know that I'm a Guardian agent. I said this earlier. I'm very proud to be a Guardian agent. They're a great company. They support us when it comes to commissions, just like all of the big companies support us. They support us with legislation. All the big boys are throwing a lot of money at it. It's a good thing, and support your company if you have an affiliation directly. So what we're going to talk about today is pretty much how I look at the practice, because my practice changes all the time. It's never static. It's always changing. And basically, one thing I want to talk about is investments and insurance. So that's why a small degree of change can make a huge difference, and constantly reinventing yourself. Commission disclosure in New York. That really created a reinvention of what the agents are doing there. Most of the guys panicked, again, because I'm in the pension end, didn't matter to me. And the clients don't even ask, but it's terrible that they're trying to go into our pockets. So just so everybody knows, I don't even know if these slides are in here. We are a practice. We are a very tax-driven practice. When I say we, I've got a whole staff behind me, so everybody helps. But we're a very, very tax-driven practice where we really look at estates, pensions. Now that says wealth accumulation plans, but we built a bridge, and the bridge is effectively to use qualified plans to pay for estate taxes. It can be done, you just have to be trained in how to do it. So, thanks. I have to do all the thanks, by the way. I spent a lot of time out in Vegas recently. I'm enjoying it. Last time I was here was August. My shoes stuck to the ground. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, but that was pretty wild.
I'm not the president.
Well,
Incoming president.
okay, so that's my staff. I have staff so I can blame them for things like that. He's the incoming president, so it's their fault, not mine. Obviously, I did this on the plane coming here. There I am with a mustache. Here I am without one. For some reason or other, in 8 months, I haven't gotten new publicity shots, but not all that important. So Mahesh suggested, put up some of your accolades. You all have them. I'm not unusual about it. I'm just kind of lucky. I've been trained by the best guys in the industry. Here's what we do. I'm sure you all have this, but we really, really do exactly as I say. This is the entire practice. We design, implement, coordinate clients' estate, retirement, and financial plans. We put it all together in one package. And one of the biggest problems I find in this industry is that most people don't. A lot of guys like to go sell policies. Policies sold, see ya. Great way to lose a client. Really good way to lose a client. So we take them from the beginning to the end. And this is the same thing that you all do. Nothing different. So what I chose to do some 17 or 18 years ago is go very narrow and very deep in the retirement planning, business, and estate planning markets. Very, very narrow, very deep. Like I kid around all the time and say, I wish somebody would call me and just say, I'd like to buy $5 million worth of whole life. Never happens. Everything to me is a long, elaborate plan. Everything in this practice. And I don't mind. I kind of enjoy that because either I become numb to it or I just get off on writing those types of plans. But everything is complicated. Kaizen. I say this everywhere I go, every time I speak. There's a saying, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Remember that. If you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. Right? It's true. Reinvent yourself. Stagnant? Reinvent yourself. Really is a fact of life. It's an amazing industry. I heard this the other day. I don't remember where I heard it. It was a news program. Doesn't have much to do with my practice. Has a lot to do with our thoughts inside. It's a setback is a setup for a comeback. I heard that on Sunday. I think it was about one of those giant churches that's now gone. And the guy's wife, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry, but his daughter said, my daddy always said, a setback is a setup for a comeback. And I got to tell you, 25 years I'm in this business, and I still go through setbacks. I still battle with clients, I battle with plans. It's not that it gets easier, we just get smarter. And we learn how to deal with it emotionally. And that's really what it's all about. And that has a lot to do with coaches and people who bring you into coaching to deal with the emotions, and I'm a very, very heavily coached person. Very. Otherwise, I would look like a basket case. So, part of going narrow and going deep in the estate planning markets is life insurance. But doesn't life insurance bring the focus on equities? For those of you who were in the other room before, you heard me talk about he who controls the assets controls the life insurance sale. Well, I always control the life insurance sale because I want to control the assets. And the good thing is that you can help the client. So, unique abilities, strategic coach. Anybody in this room been through strategic coach? Okay. What's the first thing they teach you? They teach you to find what your unique ability is. I know a lot of things that I'm not. I am not a good administrator. I don't even know where an application is. I don't care where it is. I don't even know where to sign them. If I didn't have an assistant put a sign here, sticker on there, it would take me 2 hours to go through it just to find it. But my unique ability is knowing what I don't want to know and building on what I'm best at. That's my unique ability. What am I best at? Life insurance and equities and life insurance. I'm not a good salesman, by the way. Never have been, always been afraid to sell, terrible. Great advisor from what I'm told. So I either talk to people until they give up and finally sign an application to shut me up, or I come up with a good mousetrap for them. I think more often it's the latter of the two. I know you guys don't want me walking around. So, we went through this before, This is why I went into the qualified planning industry. Client advisor acceptance, easy access to CPAs. CPAs are lifeblood to us. They're lifeblood. Now CPAs trust in the state attorneys and other agents, but they're our lifeblood. I don't want to talk to them about going in there with some kind of program that, let's just say, aggregates. Everybody know living balance sheet, LEAP, things like that, e-money. It's very boring to those guys, in my opinion. That's what I've experienced. So I go and I talk about qualified plans. Now it's different. You know, I'm 59 years old, 25 years. They're calling me, I'm not calling them anymore. So it's a different mousetrap. But for the young guys, hang in there. It gets much better. Like I said before, he who controls the retirement dollars controls the money. That's why I'm in this world, because it's a great world. He who controls the money controls the client planning. He who controls the client planning controls all the assets. You have all the assets, guess what we end up getting? The life insurance. Because you can find the money in the assets. This is why I chose to go very narrow and very deep. So the potential results, qualified assets under management, non-qualified assets under management, qualified life insurance, non-qualified life insurance. We do them both. Great world to be in. What does it take? It really takes understanding it, as I said earlier in the other room. You have to master the basics. You have to stay on top of plan designs, plan changes. And when I say plan, I'm not talking about just retirement plans. I'm talking about estate planning, business planning, because they're all tied in. We deal with business owners, whether they're retired or they're not retired, but predominantly we're dealing with business owners, a few high-end CFOs, CEOs, and that's it. A total understanding of how all of the plans work together on their own and how they work in conjunction with each other. Which is best for a client? That's a good one. Which plan is best for a client? Very important to know. How does life insurance work in a qualified plan? I had a CPA speaking to me at a lunch meeting on Monday who said, I don't believe in life insurance in qualified plans, quote, end quote. I asked him why. He goes, because when you die, it's part of the plan assets. Who writes qualified life insurance in here? Have you ever heard anything like that before? I said to him, so have you ever heard of a beneficiary designation form? He said, no. He said, no, you know. And then I went into the explanation. It does not go into the plan. It is not taxed in the plan. Most CPAs think that it is. So we have to understand that to explain it to them. And then the cash value. The cash value is an asset allocation and an asset stabilization. Those of you who heard me before, I'm a big believer in whole life. Very, very big believer in whole life. That's me. That's how I was trained. I own tons of it, and I don't have any kids. To me, it's an investment. 2008 came, market crashed. I didn't lose any sleep. Neither did my clients, because most of them are in whole life, and then they have investments on top of the whole life. Advanced utilization of qualified insurance, understanding how to really use it. That'll differentiate everybody. Ongoing training. In Guardian, there's a BRC, there's NAIFA, there's NDRT. There are so many resources that we have available to us if you just want to extend your hand. The industry is very unique. You know, yeah, we are competitors with each other. Every one of you is a competitor with me. There's no doubt about that. But we're friendly competitors. I share because you give it away and you get it back. Another strategic coach thing. Give it away and you get it back. Creation of unique and differentiating processes. We're a process-driven practice. I don't look at product. I'm not worried about product. Everything is a plan. So I wasn't kidding before when I actually said most of my cases take anywhere from 3 to 8 months to close. One time in 25 years, I got an approval in 2 weeks. I sent him a bottle of booze and he got fired. And then mentorship. You know, I don't think that mentorship in our industry is promoted enough. I just don't think it is. It really should be. There are areas that I know I'm very strong in and I don't mind sharing it. There are areas that I'm very weak in. And I'll call in somebody who's really strong and just let them run the ball. Non-qualified deferred compensation, 409A. I don't even want to know about it. I know enough just saying those words, 409A. But there's a guy that I know who is a genius in the area. Anytime it comes across my desk, I don't even do anything except show up at the first meeting with him and that's it. Then it's goodbye and show up at the closing meeting. That's it. So mentorship is the most important thing that we can have because we all have something we can pass forward to somebody else. Why not do it? Why not do it? So here's how we get introduced to A clients. Ongoing marketing, do a lot of seminars. I actually did my first end user seminar last week. 128 spinal surgeons. Unbelievable. The response was incredible. The downside is I had to do it at 9 o'clock at night. After all these years of doing this, I don't like working at night. But it was great. And I intend to do a lot more. We do CLEs, we do webinars, interactive websites, everything that everybody should be doing, I've evolved to do. And it's an evolution. I know a lot of young people in this audience, so it's all an evolutionary process. It will all happen, you just have to focus on it and keep doing it. We did, and then we create unique processes. In the other room, I don't think I'm going into this in here, but in the other room I showed one of the processes that we use for qualified plans to pay for estate taxes that really just, it's a bridge. So we created that process. There's the website. I think it's almost compliance approved after 5 years. We're close. And by the way, I'm not kidding. It's been 5 years. They approve it, they change it. They approve it, they change it. They approve it, they change it. We have newsletters that go out. That's Ed Guernsey. He's a Guardian agent. There's our brochure. Hey, the girls did a nice job with this. Email letters that go out. Those two guys are no longer with us. So I had to disclose that just in case. So, what's a day in my life? I spend a lot of time in my office. I don't go out to see clients in New York. They pretty much come to me. I learned that from a great mentor. And he just said, what's the sense? You spend 2 hours driving someplace? That's 2 hours less that you can work. And it really is just a matter of saying to them, why don't you just come to my office? And I know a lot of you experience that now because that's the new realm in our industry. That's mandated to me. That's what a day in my life looks like. Crazy. All of my assistants look like that because we're dealing with tax law changes constantly, and we're dealing with clients who just don't understand what they really should be doing, even though we tell them. And as I said inside before, for those of you who heard me before, we have waivers for everything. We have documentation for everything. We just tell people, do it, please do it, please do it, please do it. And the other agents that I work with are great. I mean, they follow up with it exactly as they should. So, what makes my life easier with no insanity? They do. I know exactly what I can do. They know everything I cannot do. So, the most important thing that as I explained before is, and I don't remember who I was talking to earlier, I was telling them that I built this practice on employee benefits, the whole thing. 1987, I decided to come into this business. Easiest thing in New York was to sell health insurance. That's how you meet business owners, right? So I sold a lot of health insurance. I don't sell any health insurance now. It's not my cup of tea. It's too commodity driven in New York State. Way too commodity driven. So the only clients that we have left now are clients whose either estate plans or buy-sell agreements we handle. And that young lady, Jonna Russo, is now an employee benefit producer for me. She does everything. I don't want that headache. Now, I don't know anything about health insurance out here. I have referred a few things to Mahesh. But it can't be any different than getting the phone call. How much did it go up? I don't want those phone calls. I also don't want their phone calls on the up or down side on their stock portfolios or their investment portfolios, which is where Ward and Mike come in. I'm brought into a client. Once I do what I do with a client, I hand them off to these two guys who do nothing but investments. That's it. Because that's their unique ability. Mine is doing what I do. Strategic alliances, we all have them. As I said, accountants, trust and estate attorneys, corporate attorneys. I'm looking over here like there's a screen over here. Property and casualty brokers, fee-only CFPs, which I think is great. They actually don't understand a lot about products, so they're a good referral source. Again, seminars, very close relationships. You know, I'm not a golfer. That's a drawback in this industry, but I'm not a golfer. But I happen to own a yacht. Gee, poor people don't own yachts. So it's interesting to sit on the back of a yacht and drink a bottle of wine and talk about what you do. And as I said before, the newest venue, end user, clients, prospects. Now that was a week ago. But the opportunity came up from a couple of clients who were physicians. The opportunity came up, and I said, let's try it. Let's reinvent ourselves again. It is now going to be one of the staples of the practice. Although I hate working at night. And the food wasn't so good. So, a small degree of change. I believe we all learn from others. I don't care what level you're at. I have a young man that works for me that's so clear in his definition of what he wants to do that his clarity rubs off on me. It's amazing. He's 30 years old. 30 years old. His definition and his clarity is wearing off on me. It's great. A slight change in your practice, equities. Now, I was telling Mahesh yesterday over a cocktail, somehow or other, I ended up number 4 in equities in Guardian. My reputation in Guardian was being a life insurance guy. So I ended up number 10 or something in life insurance and number 4 in equities. The equity people in Guardian were shocked. You know, I'll tell you why, because a young man came to me and said, why aren't you bringing equities into your practice? I don't understand. You have the access to do it. I woke up and I said, okay, let's do it. And we started talking to people, and that's all it's a matter of. That's really all it's a matter of, talking about, if you're not doing something, talk about doing it, because then you're doing it. What is it? It's revenue stream, you're protecting your clients. To me, protecting the client's always the most important aspect. I know that I am not an investment specialist. God forbid anybody ever think I am, because I am not. I'm not a health insurance specialist, don't want to be. I am a specialist in what I do, and I know I am, because I study it, I live it, I breathe it. I spend weekends reading about it. Not because I have to, I love it. And I think that's the key to success in every practice. Find what you absolutely love doing. Mom and pop over the kitchen table, small businesses, mid-sized businesses, public corporations, these giant hotels. Find what you love doing, because that's the key to very, very successful practice. I run my business as a business. Insurance and investments just happens to be the byproduct. I heard this years ago from Sid Friedman, who I was lucky enough to be very friendly. Sid was, back in the old days, Sid used to make $20, $30 million a year. He's dead, but the one thing he told me is always run it like a business. The product is irrelevant. My unique ability is communicating with people, taking very, very complex things, trying to make them simpler, implementing them, and sitting back and waiting for underwriting to say yes. So we have a core philosophy. Those who saw this before, I'm sorry. But we have a proprietary process. It's called the Life Cycle Wealth Management process. This is a byproduct of the strategic coach, knowing what your unique ability is. So we try to encompass everything with a client. Not one thing, not two things, everything to a client. Even if I have to bring in other people who do things that I don't do. I'd rather a client be protected. I'd rather my practice be protected also. I showed this before. This is just one example. We have the life cycle wealth management process for business planning, estate planning, financial planning, and obviously qualified retirement plans. So basically what we do is we just go through 5 steps, regardless of what type of plan it is. It's just 5 simple steps. And the clients understand it because we tell them up front. So if it's a qualified retirement plan or a business plan or an estate plan, we look at feasibility studies. We look, should we use qualified money or not? Are they eligible for qualified money? Then we do the plan design, plan selection, always with the attorneys, always with accountants. I am not saying I'm a genius in those areas. I don't care about that. I am not an attorney. I am not an accountant. I know a lot. I can't draft a document. And God help anybody if they ever touch their tax returns. Not good at that stuff. And then we go through all of the steps. The last step is the most important to me. We look at their estate planning. Because philosophically, I think we all understand that taxes are never going down. They're just never going down. So we should all have that eye for our clients, very important. So what do we look for? When I'm starting to look for clients, prospects, these are the things that we look for. Defined contribution plans, 401ks, profit sharing plans. Why? Because there's assets under management in there. We can maximize the life insurance. We can put guaranteed annuities in there, variable annuities with guaranteed distributions. And we look for estate planning. Money purchase plans, age-weighted plans, all of those are antiquated now. They're old. They're unnecessary today, and there are thousands of them out there. Thousands. Why do I look for those? Because we take over the plan. What's in those plans? Same thing we talked about up here. More opportunity. Again, Defined benefit plans, we were talking about 412I plans, 412Es, fully insured defined benefit plans. This is what we look for when we're talking to accountants, attorneys, prospects. This is what we're looking for. Now, it's a little bit different because we get the phone calls to look at them, but this is what I'm teaching the young guys that I'm working with now. Business planning, buy-sell agreements. How many of you are involved with buy-sell agreements? How many of you have seen really bad buy-sell agreements? Right. Isn't it nice to go to a client and save them from a disaster? And it's amazing the way the insurance agents, we, are really the impetus for estate planning and business planning. It's amazing that we really are the impetus. And any good trust and estate attorney will tell you that an insurance agent is probably the first guy on the line to say there's something wrong here, you need to address it. Pretty amazing, isn't it? We little insurance guys. Huh. We look for non-qualified deferred comp, COLI, because Section 101J, which is part of Pension Protection Act, came in and just made corporately owned life insurance a true quagmire. And then, of course, Section 419 and Section 79 plans. Those two things that I adore. By the way, if any of you are selling them, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be offensive. I just think that anything that looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, is a duck. And so does the IRS. Again, I am down in DC a lot. I know what they're looking for. So it's really important. But why do I look for those? Because if I find one, the first thing I want to do is get an exit strategy for them. Got a couple of 419s we were just brought into. We're going to use, I don't know if you're going to know what this is, but we're going to use NIMCRUTs, Charitable Remainder Trusts, to get them out. And the NIMCRUTs are going to buy the 419 assets. What happens? The 419 goes away. They have 3 years to pray that they don't get audited. It's really all it comes down to is they have 3 years to pray they don't get audited after it's closed. And then we always use tax-deductible buy-sell funding. Talk to a business owner, have to have a buy-sell agreement. Why not make it tax-deductible without a 419 or a Section 79 plan? How about we just put it in your profit-sharing plan? Simple. How about your 401k? Simple. They love hearing that stuff. This is what this practice is built on. Captives. I'm not going to get into this, but how many of you are involved with captives right now? I know you are. Okay. This is a world that is just about to come to the forefront that I think, A, everybody should know about, B, become very well educated in it, because it is a minefield. Just like I talked about the minefields before, this is a minefield. There are good captives, there are bad captives, and then you have to know how to fund them. But when you're talking to high net worth folks, they're going to want to know about this. Business owners who are making a lot of money are going to want to know about this. And I would tell you, go back, go online, start reading about it. But don't read about the fluff that you're going to see on there, that I have the best captive, I'm the cheapest captive. Don't read that. Read the laws. Now, I understand Nevada has captives now, right? Am I correct? So it's a new world. And this is the next forefront for advanced planning. And it's going to be a very important forefront. Estate planning. I love this. We look for underfunded estate plans. We look for gifting issues, always. Private split dollar arrangements. As I said inside, we do a lot of private split dollar, an awful lot of private split dollar. I've seen the agreements be as complex as a piece of paper, a single piece of paper. Private split dollar agreements are not comprised of a single piece of paper. TOLI, trust-owned life insurance, fiduciary responsibilities. It's very interesting what's going on out there. You know, all those collapsing universal life policies? Trustees are sweating bullets right now about that, truly sweating bullets about it. And they need the help to find the solution to cover themselves. That's really what that's coming down to. You want to become close with a trust and estate attorney? Talk to them about TOLI. We've got 5 of them that are feeding us cases now. We can't even keep up with them at this moment in time. Current assumption, trust-owned universal life, non-guaranteed universal life. What kind of world do we live in today? Everybody wants guarantees. You know, I grew up, I was trained by State Mutual. That's in the days of 17% interest rates in a universal life policy. They're going to last forever. Every one of them's gone, including mine. It just lapsed this last year. Well, actually, I just refuse to pay the increasing premium to keep the policy. Why do I look for all of that? 1035 exchanges, SPIAs, variable annuities, fixed annuities, anything that you can think of to help a client get out of the problems that they have. And then tax-deductible jumbo policies. Life insurance inside of a captive, if structured properly, is a wonderful tool. Remember what I just said, though. If structured properly. That's the important thing. If structured properly. We have a few captives that don't have any insurance. So life insurance and qualified plans and investments. We talked about this a little while ago. So it's part of a tax deduction. So when a client says, how much is this going to cost me? I just basically say, what's your contribution? $49,000. Well, it's part of your contribution. Simple discussion. Sometimes they accept it, sometimes they don't. Pre-retirement death benefit. Really important for people to understand that life insurance in a qualified plan is a pre-retirement death benefit. Don't you think it's important? You put $49,000 in today, you die tomorrow, no life insurance. What does your family get? $49,000. You take 50% of that $49,000, buy a $2 million life insurance policy, you die the day after, what do they get? $2 million. Big difference. Then if you structure it properly with the right policy, it's just part of an asset. Asset allocation, I told you before, I believe in whole life. Guaranteed product. Cash can never go down, it can only go up. It's part of an asset allocation. Kind of sounds like a bond portfolio, doesn't it? Asset stabilization, 2008. One of my clients actually called me and said, you know, that's really a stable asset, as he was losing his shirt in the stock market. So I just came up with this. I said, you know, it's an asset stabilization tool. It's really all whole life is. Stabilizes the qualified retirement plan. I have no kids, I have a wife, I have $10 million of whole life, most of it in my qualified plan. I sleep well at night knowing that. And I tell my clients that also. Term insurance, you know, I'm not a big advocate of term insurance for long-term use. I was just talking to that young man about that. Just because we do some sophisticated planning with trusts. But it's kind of nice to say, you know, if you have this life insurance in your qualified plan, you don't need term insurance outside. It works. And positioning. Whole life in a qualified plan. Positioning, positioning, positioning. For business planning, for distribution planning, and ultimately for estate tax planning. And for those of you who want to learn it, the charitable world is yet another extension of all of this, truly understanding what you can do with charitable lead trusts, charitable remainder trusts, private family foundations, the transfers. You can literally use a qualified plan and create a world that's tax deductible and tax free to a client to the day they die. To the day they die. Now, when you're talking to prospects, accountants, and attorneys, that's pretty powerful to say. No matter how old you are, how experienced you are, or how new you are in the industry. So those are my observations. So the other thing we always talk about, and I know you guys saw it a little bit earlier, is distribution planning. We're not going to show it, because that's old hat. We did that before. But exit strategies. Every plan that goes into place for anybody has got to have an exit strategy. Has to have an exit strategy, period. Whether it's a split dollar plan, qualified plan, even an estate plan. Look what happened in 2010. There was no estate tax. Isn't that fascinating? Now imagine if it stayed that way. Wouldn't you have to have an exit strategy to unwind what's in there? And for those of you that are career agents, you have to really think about what kind of whack am I going to take if I have $10, $11 million worth of lapses because they don't want the insurance anymore. That's where charitable planning comes in. So it's just connecting a lot of dots all the time. And then estate planning. This is what we do in estate planning. Those of you who were in the room before saw it. But basically, we talk about this all the time. So I think that's it, right? So that's it. So a small degree of change, what can be accomplished? Increase to new assets under management, life insurance sales, new annuity sales, disability sales. I didn't even mention disability. I used to write a lot of disability. I don't write any anymore. They're all too old. Relationships with clients, referrals, centers of influence, qualified and non-qualified plans, they're great. Business planning opportunities and estate planning opportunities. And that's it, folks. So I just wanted to say that's what we do. Thank you very much. It's great being here.